Case Keenum, the quarterback responsible for bringing the Minnesota Vikings to the NFC Championship game and the quarterback responsible for the Minneapolis Miracle. But what happened to him after this spectacular season? Why would the Vikings not re-sign him? In this video, we're going to take a look into Case Keenum's one-hit wonder season with the Vikings and why he never got re-signed. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. First, let's take a look at what happened to the Vikings and why they signed Case Keenum in the first place. In the 2014 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings selected Teddy Bridgewater after the Christian Ponder era didn't work out. Least to say, after Bridgewater's first 2 seasons in the NFL with a playoff appearance, he was essentially their franchise quarterback at this point. Then, going into the 2016 season, Bridgewater would suffer a non-contact injury to his left leg. He tore his ACL, suffered structural damage, and dislocating his knee joint. Doctors would tell him that he would never be able to play football again. So the Vikings were out on a quarterback and traded for Sam Bradford. The Vikings would finish that season 8-8, ending in a disappointment after starting 5-0. Moving forward to the 2017 season, 4 months before training camp would start, the Vikings would sign Case Keenum to a 1-year contract. Bridgewater was still ruled out, so Sam Bradford would be declared the starter for the year. Now at this point in Case Keenum's career, it's kind of hard to describe how he was as a quarterback. He had been in the league for 5 years and had only played in 26 NFL games. He was on the Texans and the Rams, but they weren't good teams at the time. But from the naked eye test, you could tell that Keenum was a gunslinger type quarterback. He just had no help. Come week 1 against the Saints, Sam Bradford would get the win, but with the cost of a bruised knee. So Case Keenum was named the starter for week 2 as there was hope for Sam Bradford to return. Case Keenum would only be the starter for 3 weeks before Bradford would return as the starter, and in those 3 starts, Keenum would throw for 755 yards and 4 touchdowns. He played well, but nothing spectacular as the Vikings would go 1-2 with Keenum as the starter. Then week 5, Sam Bradford would be named the starter against the Chicago Bears, but that only lasted 2 quarters before he was getting benched for Case Keenum due to poor performance and knee aggravation. Now, really quickly, Case Keenum wasn't named the starter for the rest of the season, but he still continued to start games. The Vikings still had hope for Sam Bradford returning, but Bradford would undergo a knee procedure 4 weeks later that would place him on IR, essentially ruling him out for the rest of the season. Following the Chicago game, Case Keenum would lead the Vikings to a 10-1 record for the rest of the season and also winning the NFC North division. Keenum would finish the season with 3,500 passing yards, a career-high 22 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. The Vikings would finish with a 13-3 record and a first-round bye. Now, before we continue, the main reason this was working for Case Keenum and the Vikings was because Keenum had offensive weapons in Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, and Latavius Murray. And not to mention, the Vikings were the #1 defense in the NFL, so they were able to succeed on both sides of the ball despite having one of the worst offensive lines in the league. The Vikings would then face Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints in the divisional round. This is probably one of those events in history where people ask you, where were you when the Minneapolis Miracle happened? It's just one of those events where you just remember where you were and what you were doing if you were watching the game or not. The Vikings would get that win where Case Keenum played well, throwing for over 300 yards, and would move on to play the eventual Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, a lot of people would say that Case Keenum's magic ran out this game and that he played horrible. But Keenum actually played really good if you go back and watch the game. He was making good throws and he wasn't the reason they lost. He had 3 turnovers, but let me break this down for you. On one of the interceptions, his arm got hit, which made the ball come up short. And after the game, the offensive lineman responsible for blocking Chris Long would take the blame. On the fumble, his arm would also get hit that would have been a wide open touchdown to Kyle Rudolph. And the second interception was behind the receiver, but got tipped up with the help of luck, but I would count that one on Keenum. The offensive line also played horrible this game, and the defense would get blown out, allowing 31 points. So you can make your own opinion, but in my opinion, this loss was not Case Keenum's fault. Following the loss in the NFC Championship game, there was a lot of talk about Keenum not coming back, but the answer as to why was very unclear and still is to this day. Now, when I refer to the Vikings, I'm going to be referring to upper management, not including Mike Zimmer, the head coach at the time. The Vikings thought there were better quarterbacks out there than Keenum to help them win a Super Bowl. It kind of seemed like Mike Zimmer was under pressure to select the right quarterback that management wanted him decision to select. Zimmer, however, made these comments about Case Keenum saying, is he the guy that played for the Rams or is he the guy that played for us? This comment was kind of implying which quarterback are we going to get if we bring him back next season. When Zimmer was asked if Keenum can repeat his 2017 breakout season, he said, you think he can, but it's just kind of guessing, implying the same thing. Which Keenum are we going to get? However, Zimmer was also on record saying he didn't want to invest a ton of money into a long-term quarterback like Kirk Cousins. This whole situation seemed really weird, like Zimmer was being forced to listen to the Vikings and go along with their narrative. It's not confirmed, but it seemed like Zimmer wanted to keep Keenum for another year or two for cheap to see how he would have turned out. Anyways, I searched for hours trying to find more information on why the Vikings didn't bring back Case Keenum, but I really couldn't find any concrete evidence. The Vikings would eventually sign Kirk Cousins, and in 4 years, he would only have one winning season and one playoff appearance. Keenum, on the other hand, got the short end of the stick in Denver and Washington and has resumed his position as being a backup quarterback since. I would have loved to see Case Keenum back in Minnesota for another season, but it's one of those what-if stories of the NFL. Let me know what you guys thought of this whole situation and whether or not the Vikings made the right decision. Anyways, thank you all for watching, have a blessed day, and I'll see y'all next video.